So bring your back and side pieces back in and just sand along each edge of each piece just to make sure that you haven't got any overhanging mouldings. So just go along in one direction and do that along each edge of each piece, and I've done mine already. And then we're now going to glue a leg to each side of each side piece, and there'll be a slight overhang at the bottom for a bit of a foot. But before you glue them, just make sure that you've got the panels the right way around so that your central strip is lining up. Otherwise the strips will look out of alignment if you get one of them the other way around. So I'll just pop the back piece to one side. So apply glue along each edge of a side piece. Like that. Pop that back down, bring in the first leg, and you want to make sure you've got a nice flush edge along the top there. So get them roughly into position, and then I'm going to bring that piece of spare strip wood back in. Now I've sorted the drawers out, I have to keep thinking where they are. And then push all of the pieces up against the strip. Get that top straight edge. And then press the pieces together, but making sure you're pressing them flat against the work surface. If you sort of press high up on the leg, then you might sort of tilt them inwards. And then when you come to fit the top, you'll find that it's not a nice square top. So make sure it's all flat against the surface. Hold on to it and remove any excess glue. I'll try and remove it then with my piece of spare strip. Like that. Final squeeze. And then I'm just going to slide that across the work surface. And that can be left to dry. And then you can do the same thing with your remaining side. I'll slide that piece over there to dry as well. And whilst they're drying, I just want to bring back in little doors, and these are now completely dry, so I'm going to remove them from the tape. And then I'm going to bring in my 240 grade sandpaper again, so quite harsh, and I'm going to sand these back. And again, this is another of those sort of tasks where you can take off as much or as little as you like, depending on the look that you want. I want them to look sort of quite weathered and battered, so I'm going to take off quite a bit. And I don't even mind if it goes back to the bare wood in places. Pick that up and get around the sides as well. When you finish sanding, just wipe them over with a piece of damp kitchen towel. And that not only removes the dust, but it just removes a tiny bit of the paint and just finishes off that look. I really like that. I've done the same with the little supports here. And then once you've cleaned them off, you can go over again with a piece of clean kitchen towel and dry them off. And then we can attach the supports. Now they're dried off, I'm going to attach the supports, or the slats. And I've got here a piece of 6mm or 1/4 of an inch strip wood that I'm going to use as a spacer to place them from the top of the door. So just apply a bit of glue to the back. Can't get my words out today. Like that, pop the spacer in place like that. And lay that along there, give it a press. And I'll get some clamps and we'll clamp all these pieces together. And see what I mean about being able to do a better job of the sort of aging. before these slats are applied. There as well. I'll just get my clamps. Put one at each end. Put that to one side to dry and do the same with the remaining door. My shutters are now completely dry and I really like the effect on those. And I'm just going to add a little finishing touch of a few nail holes. So I'm not even going to measure, I'm just going to sort of follow the lines of the grooves there. And I'm just using my scribe. Make a few holes in there. I'm going to have those standing up there. And as I always say, I'm not sort of attaching those yet. Won't put any tacky wax or anything on. And then as we make more bits and pieces, we may find that we move things around. So I'll just stand them up there for now. And I think they go really nicely as well with the colour of that background of the fire surround. And then the other day I was just moving things around and I put the little boat shelf up here in this landing. Just to get it out of the way actually, but I think that looks really nice there. I think that fits that space really nicely. So I think what I'll do is I'll have that there now and we'll make some nice little bits and pieces to go in there. And then that frees up that corner down there for more sort of smaller displays, or if we need to extend the units along the back wall, we can do that. Okay, so let's get back to our little narrow shelf unit. So we're going to start by drawing lines across the back and side pieces for placement of the shelves. So turn those pieces over. And once again, so we haven't got to do that 3 times, we're going to join these together with a little bit of masking tape. So just make sure you've got a straight line along the top there. Then put a little bit across each join and then just put a bit across the bottom as well. Turn it lengthways like that. So we've got the top along here and we're going to do the first measurement 52.5 millimeters from the top. So 52.5 millimeters, and that is 2 1/16 of an inch. The next one is 81.5 millimeters, and that is 3 3/16 of an inch. And finally 110 millimeters, which is 4 5/16 of an inch. Do the same at the other side. So 52.5, 81.5 and 110. 2 1/16, 3 3/16, 4 5/16. Turn back the right way and join those up. And when you join them, just go onto the sort of front leg on each of the side pieces. So come across like that, and then we're just going to do a little bit of a pencil mark on what will become the front leg there. What will be the front leg once we've joined it together. And that just helps when we're placing the shelf pieces, just to make sure that we're keeping them straight. Like that. And then you can remove the masking tape. So we're going to begin by attaching the back piece to the back leg of the side piece, and so that the back piece is sitting towards the front edge of that back leg. So apply glue to the side of the back piece. And put that into place, making sure you've got a nice flush line along the top there, and your pencil lines will match up as well. So you're just sitting it along that join between the side piece and the leg. Make sure that's straight all the way down as we're working on a larger piece again. Hold on to that and remove the excess glue, and don't forget to go around the back and remove the excess glue as well. Now I'm going to attach the top piece on the inside edge of these pieces. So you've got 5 pieces here, all of the same size. That's our top and bottom and our 3 shelves. So take one of those and that will sit along there like that. So again that it's flush with the top of the unit. So apply glue to a side and a back, or a short and a long edge as I usually say. Get your side or the piece in line with the side first. Just use your finger to make sure you've got a nice flush join, and then look, I'm going to pull that back piece in, and that then squares the piece up. So press those together. You can then get inside and remove any excess glue. We're now going to attach the first of the shelves, and that will sit just above that pencil line down there. Again, get it lined up along the side first, and then make sure it's sitting along that line on the back there. You can use the little line we did on the front of the leg to help lining that up. Press it all together. And then work your way down with the next 2 shelves, putting them in that same position, so just above that little pencil line. You can then attach the bottom piece again on the inside edge, and so it's flush with the bottom of the back and side. Make sure you've got that flush line along the bottom there, and then you can bring in your back piece to meet it. Give it a good press. And remove the excess glue. We're now ready to attach the remaining side. So apply glue along all the edges. Put in your side piece, get your top lined up first, so you've got a flush edge along the top there, and also along these front edges, so that all the shelves are sitting on the inside. A bit lined up as well. Pick that up and give it a good press together. Hold on to that while I get rid of that excess glue, and then I'm going to grab some masking tape and we'll secure that whilst the glue is drying. So put it down on the first side like that, just making sure that top piece is sitting where it should. Look like it had sort of gone in a little bit then, so I'm just making a small adjustment there. And you want to keep doing that as well, keep looking, making sure everything's staying where it should. Okay, so let me grab some tape. I'm going to put a piece right across the side like that. Put it nice and tightly, make sure not to push out the top or bottom pieces. Lay it on its back like that. And then I'm going to put a few pieces right across the front as well. And if you put them across where the shelves are, that will hold those all in place as well. Like that. And that piece can be left to dry. So once you've allowed enough time for the glue to dry, remove the masking tape and then sand away all of the pencil marks along the front edge. And we're now going to glue the little top panel into place. So lay that down, and this is going to go across the top of the unit like that, so that it's flush with the top and flush at the sides as well. So apply glue to the top of the legs there, and if you sort of lay that on there, you can make sure you're putting the glue sort of far enough down. A little bit on this card is going a little bit dry, but I'll see if I can use it up. Same at the other side there as well. And go along that top edge at the front there, like that, and then glue the piece into place. Stray hair there. Use your finger to make sure you've got a nice flush edge at each side and along that top edge as well. Once you're happy it's in the right place from side to side, you can turn that upside down like that and just make sure that it's flush with the top of the unit. Give that a press. And again, I'm just pressing on the legs there rather than actually on the front of the panel. And then I'm going to pop a little bit of masking tape straight over that piece. That over there like that. Pull it nice and tightly, and if the masking tape pulls up any of the wood, we can just sand that afterwards. That piece can then be put to one side to dry, and we can shape our top piece. And with this piece we're going to bevel along one long edge and both short edges. So with the piece at a 45-degree angle against your sandpaper, sweep it towards you, keeping it at that angle. And you want to keep going until you've got a nice sharp bevel along there. And then do the same at each side. Finish that piece off in your hand with a piece of 500 grade sandpaper, just to really tidy up the edges. So that piece can now be glued into place. So apply glue to the top of the unit. And I've got my masking tape and clamps ready here to secure this piece into place. Make sure you get it right along the edges and onto the legs. Okay, so we're going to attach it so that the straight edge is along the back of the back legs, and so that we've got an even overhang at each side. So just use your finger to make sure it's flush along there, and then the overhang is usually the thickness of the bevel. So I think I just need to come over that way a bit. So hold on to that whilst you get rid of any excess glue. I can't quite stretch my fingers to the bottom of the unit, so I'm sort of holding it at a strange angle. Like that, and then I'm going to stand that back up and put a piece of masking tape straight over the top there. And I had my clamps ready, but I won't be able to actually use those on this piece because I forgot about that front panel there. So we'll just put a bit of masking tape across and then from front to back as well. Piece straight over like that. Pull it nice and tightly. And then I'm going to put a couple of pieces straight over from back to front like that, so that that doesn't start lifting at the front. And again, pull that nice and tightly. One more piece. can be left to dry. Once you've allowed enough time for the glue to dry, remove the tape and then sand away any little pulls that leaves. And then I've got my little tray of embellishments here, so I'm going to choose something to go on the front panel there. So I probably have got room to have a couple on there, but I think I'm just going to keep it simple and just have the boat there in the centre. So I'm going to glue that into place. I don't think it's got a right and a wrong side, so I'll just apply glue to one side. And I haven't made a measurement on there, so I'm just going to do this by eye. I think that's about the centre there. I'll just place it down lightly. Move it over a little bit. I think that looks nice. So once you're happy with the position, you can give that a press into place. And if you haven't got embellishments and didn't want the panel, then obviously you can just leave that off. The only thing you would have to make a change with would be the shelves, so you could even cut an extra shelf and have an extra one in up there, or you could just jiggle around the three so that you place the first one higher and then in the centre and then sort of centrally towards that bottom edge as well. So just have a think about that as well. But if you wanted to add the panel and didn't have an embellishment, you could even just have some pricing labels or little banner or shop banner or something up there, just saying, I don't know what we'll have on here yet, but just say, for example, we had candles, and you could say candles, small, medium, large, or something like that, and print out a little sticker. That might look quite nice. So remove any excess glue, and this piece is now ready for paint. And I'm going to use toucan for this piece, which is a lovely sort of sea green colour, just to break it up, because we've got quite a bit of white furniture along there, and just that little blue table in the centre there. Get the sun coming through there. So I think that will look quite nice, a splash of sort of bluey green in the corner there. So the shelf unit has now had 2 coats of paint, and I sanded gently after each coat had dried, and then I just used the tip of a cocktail stick to get in the little gaps on the little embellishment there, just to clear the paint out of those. And now I want to dry this in place. So that's going to sit in the corner over there, and I've put that at a bit of an angle, otherwise one of the shelves was hidden here behind the mantelpiece, but I quite like that. And then I've swapped over the shutters, so I've got this green up here just to break up that sort of line of blue. And I think they look really good as well. And I can see this sort of filled with candles and things like that. So that will be fun to do. We'll get the Fimo modelling clay out for that and make some lovely candles in all different colours. So I've finished stitching all of the squares together for the little crocheted bed runner or crochet blanket. So I'd like to just show you now how I finish that off, and then we can get that into place. So I finished crocheting the squares together, and my pattern changed a little bit along the way as well, just because I'd done a sort of section of 9 and then I think I must have turned it and then carried on, so it's a little bit different to my original plan, but I think that looks really nice, and I've kept the red spaced out. So what I want to do now is do a final couple of rows around the outside, and you treat it really just like a square and go all the way around so that you're creating a nice even and sort of straight border. When you join the squares, some can tend to be a little bit higher than others, however careful you are, so doing a border around the entire thing really does neaten it up. And then I'm going to do a row of blue outside of that. Now when you're doing something like this, you can take all of the colours that you've used and go around the outside, but I think because the red is so bright, doing another red row might just be a little bit too much. So I'm just going to stick with an ecru and a blue. And I will start just by joining up in a corner. So pull the thread through. And like I say, it's just like doing another round around a granny square, and I use the same size hook. So I join it through and then start with a chain of 3, which acts as the first treble of the first cluster. And then two more trebles, and then I do a chain of 2 to create that corner, go back into the corner, and then do another 3, and then again with this final round, just to keep it nice and tight, I don't do a chain in the middle, or in between each cluster, so I just go straight into the next chain space and do my next cluster of 3, and I do that all the way around. So the only time I do the chain spaces is at the corners, just to create that nice sharp corner. And then when I've been around with the ecru, I'll join the blue in at a corner in the same way and do one final round. And I've already been around and snipped off the threads at the back. Might be 1 or 2 more that I can just cut a little bit shorter. It looks fairly neat at the back as well. So I think I'll go and finish this off in front of the TV, and then I'll come back when I've done the 2 rounds, and we'll see what that looks like on the bed. So the blanket is now complete, and see how those borders sort of pull it all together. I think that looks really nice. So now I'm going to try this into place on the bed. So I've just laid that in place for now, but I will actually attach that to the bed when I've got a little bit more time. But I really love how that sort of pulls the red over from the little sofa as well. I think that sort of evens up the colours a little bit. I really like how that looks. So what I'll do before the next episode is make some more little cushions. I might do a few more fabric ones as well, but I'll definitely do some crocheted cushions, just like the little ones I did on the shelf unit, so just the sort of 7 round granny squares. And I'll do one for here and a few for the sofa. But yeah, I think that's all looking really nice. So that's it for today, and I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. Now in episode 18 I'm going to be carrying on with the furniture pieces for the first floor, and we'll get a little coffee table made, the blanket chest to go at the end of the bed, and we'll try and make those little tables as well to go under the window so that we can create some little window displays. So until then, take care, bye!